All right. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Yay. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I don't know if you guys heard, but we had a little beer release today. It's a really special one that we're super honored about and super proud of. And we thought it would be nice to be able to share kind of where the history of this beer came from, the thoughts and the ideas, the tastes, and the companies that were involved in making this fantastic chocolate golden ale Afrodisiac. So I'm going to introduce a few people. Actually, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and the businesses that they're with, and then we're going to tell a little of the history of the beer. Go for it.
I'm starting. Can you guys hear me? Yep. All right. I'm Brian Roberts with the Black Pantry. You guys know what the Black Pantry is? Anyone not heard of it? Everybody's heard of it?
I've heard of it. I don't know where it is. Where is it?
Yep, we're on 31st and Oak right there in Martini Corner. I started my business about almost 4 years ago. We started out of a trailer, and our whole movement was about elevating black products in the space. Initially, I started with national products. And most of that was because Kansas City at the time didn't have a Vine Street Brewery. We didn't have a Ken Seltzer yet. We didn't have all these great products that have came to fruition in the past year and a half. And it's been a blessing and an honor, and I'm very, very proud of what Kansas City is doing, especially in the black product space, what Vine Street Brewery is doing for the community, and that's the collective of the community, not just black people. I mean, it's seeing all these different faces in one room. It's really dope to see, and that was what I wanted from my business, to be able to bring people together around products that we enjoy, whether it's beer, chocolate, we sell coffee, we sell candles, we sell all kind of things. We built our relationship with Made in KC as a way to build community, because we're kind of in the same space, right? I focus on black products, they focus on local goods. So I started it 4 years ago, and what I see happening for me now I feel like I'm honored to be in the space, because I can bring people together, whether, like I said, it's a Vine Street Brewery, because we're going to move into a cafe space. We're going to do coffee, wine, beer, but to have the black quality, excellent product in one space for everyone to enjoy, just like we're enjoying this beer. If you guys have not had it, oh my God. This beer, it smells great, it tastes great. And I know it wasn't in a nutshell, but that's what my business is, the Black Pantry. I just wanted to bring people together around black product, and I'm just happy to be in this space with Andre's chocolate. Excuse me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot to follow. So I'm Rene Bollier. This is my wife, Nancy Bollier. We are the owners of Andre's Chocolates. Andre's Chocolates is a family-run, family-owned business that's been around since 1955. So we've been around for a while. I am exceptionally fortunate not only to have had the pleasure of working with my grandfather and my father to learn the business, but also working with other businesses that have that same enthusiasm and drive to do really unique, exceptional products. My wife and I, Nancy, we were lucky enough to be placed right next to Vine Street Brewing at Boulevardia 2 years ago, and that's where the relationship started with these guys. And I love their vibe, I love their enthusiasm, I love anyone who's really creating something exceptional and doing it in a way that really kind of empowers the community. So we were exceptionally excited when Vine Street reached out to us to do a collaborative beer. Chocolate, coffee, and beer all work so well together, and that beer is absolutely phenomenal. So we are excited to be here and excited to answer any questions you all have.
So I'll go ahead and quickly just introduce myself. I'm Annie McGinnis. I'm the Director of Operations of Vine Street, but I'm going to pass it over to Elliot because he is the brewmaster here and makes all of our fantastic beers and collabed with them, came up with the idea, and brought the whole project together. So if you could kind of share about where the ideas came, the taste profiles you wanted, and what style of beer you wanted, and how the two of these organizations helped you come up with those ideas.
Yeah, so to backtrack a little bit, to touch on kind of Renee's and our relationship, because I think it's important in terms of collaboration of how this came. This wasn't like, oh, I see two really strong brands and I want to reach out to them and collab with them because we think we can elevate it from a business perspective. This is a very organic relationship that was just kind of created through the love of our individual crafts. So in Boulevardia 2 years ago, Renee's talking to me about how he makes his, I don't know if you guys ever had André's like whiskey covered or whiskey filled chocolate balls, but they're phenomenal. But the funny thing is, I was fascinated with how he encapsulated the whiskey inside the chocolate. So I was asking Renee all these questions about it, and really dived into like the science of like the crystalline structure that he's created to actually house the whiskey and then cover the chocolate. And I was fascinated with how excited Renee, like I just saw his eyes like light up and I was like, how'd you get the whiskey in there? Like what's covering it? He's like, oh, and he just, man, went down the rabbit hole and I was like, oh yeah, this is the rabbit hole that I'm trying to go down there with you. I'm trying to go down as well. And so that's kind of how that relationship kind of evolved. He showed us around this facility, André's Chocolates. I mean, so they're creating an exceptional product, but that facility is also exceptional as well. So I think you need both to kind of do both things. And so that's how our relationship happened there. And then with the Black Pantry, Brian and I actually worked in corporate America together in separate spaces, kind of bypassed at the time, but then we started to form our relationship. Once I found out what he was doing, how he was elevating Black products, once he knew that I was starting the brewery, but once again, two people just really passionate about bringing people together. And so that's how that natural connection came there. I mean, I know he had interactions with Woody, very excited about having because we did a little pop-up event at the Black Pantry, serving some beers, and Woody was forming that relationship with Brian and telling about all the beers that we brew, all the flavors that can be packed into beer. And so I think Brian was trying to see how much flavor we could pack into a beer, so we went ahead and did it. So, but I guess the basis of this beer, how that all forms together, we wanted to give a base style that accentuated and highlighted both products equally. And so I know a lot of people do like darker beers with coffee and chocolate and things like that. We wanted to do something a little bit different, and so we went with a golden ale. It's heavy on the caramel malt to kind of accentuate the sweetness, but we wanted to going with lighter malts, we wanted to let the coffee, which also blended with a lot of caramel notes as well. Caramel, a little bit of like dark chocolate roast when I was smelling the coffee from the Black Pantry, and then it accentuated the base as well as like when sniffing the cacao nibs so we just use raw cacao nibs that André's use in their milk chocolate blend, or is it a blend or milk chocolate blends? And so both of those flavors really actually, the coffee and the chocolate, they smelled very similar. And so that's what kind of drew me to them. And so I'm sitting here, I actually took a cheap Pilsner. I put the coffee and the chocolate in it, swirled it around, sniffed it, tasted it, and that's where that whole thought process came. But I just wanted a little bit more malt character, so added some more caramel malt into it to kind of elevate all those products. But wanted to keep the grain bill relatively light to do all that.
Well, the beer not only tastes really good, but it's gorgeous in the glasses. I mean, it's probably one of the prettiest beers I've seen, so well done, well done. Brian, can you share with us kind of the story of why this beer means so much to you?
Like I said, well, it's funny story, but just growing up, my dad was in kind of like the cafe, restaurant, hotel, banquet space for a very long time. Back in the 90s, there were a couple of businesses called Parkway Market and Cafe Society that were kind of over on the Kansas side. He ran those. So I grew up in a similar space. So he knew about like elevated fine product. And Andre's chocolate was one of the items, Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. We would always go down as little boys, me and my brother, and get that for my mom. Run her bubble baths, give her chocolate, my dad would cook. So when I was talking to Ellie and he was like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this during Valentine's Day and Andre's chocolate. My heart just lit up. So I can't wait to take this home to my parents, right? Because like this goes back 30 years now for me, just having understanding what Andre's chocolate is. And I still to this day think it's crazy when I mention Andre's chocolate, people are like, what, Andre's chocolate? So this is an opportunity now for me to say, hey, yes, Andre's chocolate and Black Pantry and Vine Street Brewing, like we're like, these are powerhouses that I'm in between, but pillars of community, of passionate product. If you hear how they talk about coffee and talk about beer and talk about chocolate, that's how I feel about people and spaces. When you walk into a space, how does it make you feel? When you see each other, how do you feel? Instead of like post-COVID, we're all in this head down, always on our phones type of like, what type of space, what type of products that lifts our heads up, brings us together. Do you like this? Like I also brought, like I call this the year of the collab. Gates did a collaboration with Combine Pizza. Phenomenal. And I love that because I'm a people person of all walks of life. Seeing brands get together, old and new, and bringing people together, just that's my passion right there.
Okay, Andres. I don't know which one wants to answer the question, but I know the this next couple of weeks are really busy for you. Valentine's Day is insane. So thank you for taking part in this and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. We're super grateful for that. Can you kind of tell us more what you've got going on in the future for Andres? What's all in your business as far as restaurants? What other things do you offer outside of just chocolates? Just so the people that have not been to Andres, if they haven't, I'm not for sure why, because it's fantastic. Speaking of which, there are samples of Andres chocolates up here on this table, so when we are done, you're free to have some. But please share some things you got going on in the future so we can kind of prepare ourselves to make sure we come see you.
Yeah, I mean, the future, I count myself, I mean, both Nancy and I count ourselves extremely lucky to be a part of a generational business that does have, has had success in Kansas City, but the start was not easy. And I mean, we do offer a wide breadth of different things. We have a full service restaurant and cafe, a wine bar, and we do baked goods. But it's interesting because the history of Andres, that was not, when my grandfather immigrated in 1955, he did not envision that at all. His whole concept was chocolates. He wanted to do chocolates and small pastries or pedophores, and that's all he envisioned doing. 1955 Kansas City was not prepared for that. They didn't get it. They didn't understand it. Why was it so expensive? What made it different? So he really had to work hard at educating the Kansas City public about what made his products unique, what luxury chocolates were all about. And part of the way he made it a success, both him and my grandmother, were introducing some other items to get people in the door. So we started serving lunch in our restaurant. That was 2 years after we started. And we started doing more baked goods. And all those things were just to get people in the door, hoping they would buy chocolates and pastries on the way out, which fortunately for Nancy and I ended up working. And here we are today. We are exceptionally lucky that we have seen tremendous growth nationally. So we're really putting a lot of emphasis on national growth when it comes to chocolate candies. And a lot of that is attributed to Nancy, who heads up all of our wholesale and marketing. And she has done an amazing job. And she heads up me as well. But and when when getting just real quickly on the beer, I love the fact, so Swiss chocolate gets its recognition from the fact that it is exceptionally caramely. So the Swiss were the first ones. There's a process called conching, which after you make the chocolate, you refine it, everything's in, you conch it, and that's basically just working the chocolate back and forth in big troughs with either a stone or a stainless steel roller. And the idea behind conching is to kind of round out all the little molecules and wrap each molecule in that cocoa butter to give it a really beautiful mouthfeel. The Swiss, I mean, back in, in the early, when chocolate was really getting big from a worldwide perspective in like 1870 or 1896 when milk chocolate was invented. People were conching chocolate for 6-7 hours. The Swiss started doing it for up to 72 hours, and what that did is it gave this beautiful mouthfeel, but it also created the friction in conching, created so much heat that it actually caramelized the sugar in the chocolate and gave the Swiss chocolate these really intense caramel notes. So when Elliot was talking about the caramely flavor in the beer, that works so well with Swiss chocolate and really brings out the flavor of the cocoa nibs that we're utilizing in the beer. So I love that. But yeah, I'm super excited about what we're doing here. And yeah, there we go.
I was going to open up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions for any of these businesses up here? No?
I don't have a question or a comment. My daughter used to work right across the street at the CVS from the one in Brookside. And so whenever she comes home, she lives out in Maryland near the DC area. She has to go to Andre's.
I love that.
Yes, and so she was here for Thanksgiving and Christmas. No, Thanksgiving and my birthday was December. And at the airport, she bought some Andre's hot chocolate. And when she got home, she's like, Mom, I picked up the wrong kind. Will you buy me another one? So she had bought the hot, spicy one.
Oh, the Aztec, yep.
So then I went there for Christmas and I bought the regular one for her, thinking that I would get my money back, but she never gave me my money back. But I got the hot, the spicy, and I love it. I don't know how you guys came up with it, but it is gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful. It tastes very good.
That's fabulous.
Great story. You had mentioned something about raw cacao. Would you talk? Is that exactly? Could you kind of explain to me about how that works versus when you order your cacao, you get the powder, blah blah blah.
So we are exceptionally fortunate that we have a relationship with a company in Switzerland. So we have a partner in Switzerland that produces all our chocolate. So our chocolate is our proprietary blends. We created them. I got to go to, and Nancy loves me saying that I went to chocolate camp because it's actually called the Cocoa Lab, but it was a week long. I mean, if astronauts get to go to space camp, I got to go to chocolate camp. And I got to spend a week actually just making chocolate and tasting cocoa beans and defining exactly how much sugar to put in our chocolate, what cocoa beans to use, what milk powder to use. And so the cocoa nib that we're using, cocoa nib is basically after the cocoa bean itself is fermented and then dried, and then roasted and cracked. The cocoa nib are the little pieces of the cocoa bean itself. So, and that is what is used to grind down and refine to make the chocolate. So I don't know if I'm totally answering your question.
Yeah, you are, because I'm just trying to get that concept of the bean and then how all of it gets to the chocolate.
Yeah, so once that you take that cocoa nib, and that's what you are gonna refiner is basically just stainless steel rollers that are gonna squash the bean down into an ultra fine paste, and that's when you're adding your sugar and your vanilla bean, and with milk powder, with milk chocolate, milk powder, and I'm gonna get geeky now because I get geeky when I start talking about chocolate. But like what's so interesting about Switzerland, specifically, is that when I was making the milk chocolate, the milk powder in Switzerland is all over the map because they are, for one, the cows are grazing. They are up in the mountains in the summer, they're down valley in the winter, and the milk itself, from spring to summer to fall to winter, tastes exceptionally different. So the milk powders itself taste exceptionally different. So it was really interesting trying all those different milk powders and defining which one we were going to put in our chocolate. Because in the spring, the cows are eating a lot of the wildflowers and things like that. And then in the winter, they're eating a lot of hay and they're down valley. And then in the summer, they're just grazing on the alpine meadows. So yeah, it was really an exceptional experience. And but the cocoa nib itself is just that pure cocoa bean before anything else is added to it. Yeah, you're welcome.
So I need to share a story. So like Elliot said, we got to go on a tour. Renee spent the afternoon with us and showed us all the areas of the whole entire business, and the amount of chocolate and the different things they were making. It was mesmerizing. My mother had a client, this is probably 25 years ago. My mother had a client that lived on Plaza Point, right around the corner from you guys, who was in love with the chocolate-covered almonds, which then in turn made my mother fall in love with them. Then I fell in love with them. And when I told my mother I was getting to go to this little tour, she said, make sure you grab me some chocolate-covered almonds. Fantastic. But you took me down where that woman was with the barrels and they're rolling and she's covering. I went through my camera roll the next day, and the only thing I ever took a picture of was this woman, the barrels with the almonds. And I was showing them to my mom, like, they're making them right now. I'm gonna bring them home fresh. And then I realized, I looked down and you guys were long gone. And I'm stuck in this room, like in the favorite, can I please have a piece? She didn't give me a piece, but I was absolutely mesmerized about your guys' whole production, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. So thank you for sharing that with us and getting an opportunity to see somebody doing the best at their craft, because it was amazing. So anybody else have any other questions? One in the back.
After the initial contact where y'all decided to do a collaboration, how involved were you with the beer making process?
I'll be transparent. I didn't know you could do all these things with beer. So I was just like, Elliot had, I don't know, I won't speak for these guys. Elliot had this idea about how it would come out. I'm thinking it was going to be a dark beer, but when he said it was going to be I'm like, I want to see this. So I just let the mastermind do his thing.
Brian did come down on Brew Day. You watched a little bit, didn't you?
Did.
Yeah.
And I do want to, I have to give respect. So the part that we are missing is the coffee piece. I'm not the coffee guy, but it is my coffee, and I'll explain it. So I also have a relationship with, I'm not sure if you guys know about Take Care. It's a brand new coffee shop that just opened up down the street. Christopher from Marcel, he does coffee the way these guys do chocolate, the way these guys do beer. I wanted to start my own coffee brand when we opened up our cafe, and I reached out to him because he's about small farmers. So he goes directly to Brazil, works directly with the farmers, and brings it back. Very, very passionate. He was telling me all these things about coffee, and I'm just like, is it good? Right? So the brand, ironically, we called it Good Karma Coffee because, like I said, I think everything comes full circle. What you put into something is what you're going to get out. And as long as everything is in that pocket of good, you're going to get something good out of it, right? So Christopher opened up a coffee shop, and he also has Marcel Roasters. He roasts his coffee right here in Kansas City. It's direct farm to cup. It's phenomenal coffee. It's probably some of the best coffee I've had in the city. So that's the coffee piece. It's directly from Brazil, straight from the farm into Kansas City, and it's phenomenal. So that's who I've been working with. It has a lot of good chocolate notes, so it already works well, chocolatey, nutty, a little bit of caramel touch to it. So that's where the actual coffee piece comes from the brand that we have in-house. But I have to give respect to Christopher because he is so passionate about coffee. It's ridiculous. So if you guys go to Take Care, it's right down the street. You'll love it.
What's the name of it?
It's called Take Care by Alo. I can't say the last part. It's Portuguese. Oleo. Take Care, but it's right there off. I think it's like 18th and Locust, 19th and Locust, right down the street.
So I know prior to us opening, I know you guys saw us out collabing with a lot of people throughout the city, breweries. I will say collaboration is really big with Vine Street. We are all about building relationships and building community and getting an understanding of how we all do the thing that we love, like Elliot was saying. So once we got done, I think we did 24 collaborations before we even opened?
Yeah, roughly about that.
Yeah. Everybody was welcoming. Everybody gave knowledge. Everybody wanted to pick our brains. It really established a really good start for Vine Street, so we're super grateful for that. So when we opened, the first thing we thought about is we have to make sure that we keep this train going, but we wanted to make it even broader and make it more just about doing with other breweries, but other businesses that were passionate about the things that they were doing. This is one of the first ones that we were able to do in a group of 3. We are super proud of how it turned out. I mean, it was really good, guys. All 3 elements coming together turned into something really special. So, yeah, absolutely. So, you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to thank the Black Pantry and Andre's. I mean, and I'd like to thank all of you as well for coming and listening to the stories. So, with the first these events, we want to really try to highlight some topics of discussion, and we really wanted to highlight this brand so people got a little bit more context to this beer, because it's more than just a beer, right? It's like Brian said, we want to bring people together, and Brian's using coffee to bring people together. Andre's using chocolate to bring people together, and Vine Street Brewing Company is bringing beer to bring people together. And so we want to, and together we were all brought separately together through our own crafts, and we just really we love sharing that through this liquid of beer, which I think is the best liquid. Sorry, Brian, about coffee. Coffee second though. But I mean, so we just really thank you to everyone coming out, listening to the stories. Thank you to the Black Pantry and Andres for agreeing to the collaboration and, kind of listen to me, all my nerdy stuff, kind of explain and ask all these questions about both products. So I appreciate it. I say Vine Street Brewing Company, we appreciate it. So.
I'll just say, thank you to Vine Street and Black Pantry. We're super excited about the collaboration. And Elliot put a ton of work into this. I mean, and he asked how much, one of you all asked how much input we had on the beer. The only thing I really did is say I have some cocoa nibs that I think are delicious. Here you go. And Elliot took it from there, so I give him a ton of credit and props for creating something exceptional. So we're super excited to have had the opportunity to collaborate with these guys and girls and the whole team. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
So once again, thank you so much for coming by and tasting the beer, listening to us tell our story. We do, like I said, have a few samples of some chocolates up here. The beer is available in draft, and we also have them in 4-packs while they last. They've been moving quick today. So thank you so much for coming. Go Chiefs. Happy Valentine's Day. All the good stuff. Cheers. Have a wonderful night. Be careful going home.